Welcome back, everyone. So today I have a 2016 Lexus LS460 that I'm going to be giving you guys a POV walk around, tour, and drive. So let's go ahead and get started. So the Lexus LS is Lexus's full-size sedan and luxury category. So these are bigger than the GS, the ES, and the IS. They feature the bigger engines, bigger interiors, and overall just more luxurious and comfortable. So this one here in particular is the 4th generation of the LS460. It's a 2016. So let's get started with the tour by going under the hood. Alright, so here it is, the 4.6 liter V8 that Lexus puts in their LS460. As you can see here, there's a lot of plastic covering everything up, but underneath it lies the V8, which makes around 360 horsepower and 347 foot-pounds of torque. In terms of service, you have to pretty much remove all the plastic pieces if you want to access anything. From the top, we can see the washer fluid reservoir, the brake fluid reservoir, the engine oil dipstick, and kind of the battery towards the back, but everything else is underneath the plastic here. But overall, this is a pretty solid engine with barely any common issues. It gets decent fuel mileage and runs quiet and smooth like it did from day one. All right, now that we've kind of checked out what's over here, let's go to the back and check out the trunk. All right, so here at the trunk, to open it, you can either use the button located above the license plate or press and hold on the key. It is a fully power opening and closing trunk. All right, so here at the trunk, we can see that there is a lot of room to store things. So being a full-size sedan, it's gonna have a ginormous trunk. So going inside the trunk here, we can see that there's kind of a ski access panel where you can open it up and push things into the inside. On the left side here, we have a small storage space here and a first aid kit with more storage on the right. And underneath the floor mat here, we have a full-size spare tire. And here is the full-size spare with all the tools that you'll need to change it out. And this is actually very convenient because nowadays most cars don't even come with the spare, so having a full-size spare is a game changer. But overall, there's not much else notable to see back here. Let's go ahead and close the trunk. All right, now that we've seen the engine and the trunk, let's go ahead and check out the interior, starting at the back. All right, so before we get in, something cool to note here is that this car has soft closed doors. So if you were to just leave the door on the first latch, that closes itself the rest of the way. All right, so inside the LS460 here, as you can see, it's a very roomy interior with a lot of headroom, and it's just very long overall. We have 3 seats back here, so we can fit 3 full-size adults. In the middle here, we have our heated seat controls for the rear, controls for the rear sunshade, and a console box with a cup holder. And this is the ski access panel here to get it open. Open this panel, push this button, and that's all there is to it. And you can put this up to keep it open. All right, so moving on to the seats here, they're pretty large, wide, and comfortable with some nice bolstering on that side. So it's actually a very nice ride if you're sitting in the back being driven around. Here in the middle, we have a headrest that tilts up so you can actually completely rest your head here. We have vents here in the middle with a power socket, and if you're sitting behind the passenger seat here, you can actually move it back and forth with controls here on the side. In the seat back here, we have a small storage area, and on the door here we have some speakers, another small storage area, and more storage in the door down here. And this is a nice and sturdy handle with your window controls. Moving to the roof, we have a small makeup mirror, our dome light, and a small hook hanger here. All right, now that we've seen the back seat, let's go ahead and check out the front. All right, so here we are in the front seat of the LS460, and this is where it's at for this car. Starting on the left side here, the driver's door, you have your seat memory controls, your seat belt height controls, all your window controls, and a large door cubby. On the left of the steering wheel, you have your mirror controls, heated steering wheel, your parking distance controls, your fuel door, trunk and hood latches, and you have a small coin tray here. On the steering wheel here, you have your stereo controls, your brake hold, and your phone controls, cruise control, all the standard stuff. All right, moving to the center console here, there's a lot to look at. So starting here, we have your drive controls for eco, normal, and sport, as well as your traction control and snow modes. And down here we have our seat controls with ventilated and heated seats, along with our rear sunshade control. Moving up a little bit, we have our Lexus N-Form controller, along with the gear shifter, some cup holders, a power socket, and our well-designed radio and climate control system. All right, moving up, when the car is turned on, you can see that we have our screen with media controls and map. And this car actually has an Apple CarPlay module installed. So if you were to press and hold map, you have an Apple CarPlay and Android Auto menu. So moving on from the screen here, we have our clock, our glove box with a lot of storage, our center console here with a tray up top, and then a deeper storage compartment, along with another power socket, making a total of 3 power sockets in this car. And then we have our passenger seat, which is pretty much the same as the driver's seat and the rest of the passenger compartment. And with the dash on here, we can see that there are more buttons and items behind the steering wheel. We have our odometer controls, our headlight washer controls, and our odometer lighting controls. And moving up here, we have our mirrors along with our sunshades, our sunroof controls here, rear view mirror, and sunroof up top. And that's pretty much it for an interior tour here. Let's go ahead and get to the drive. All right, so here we are beginning the driving tour of the LS460. Now, one thing I want to note is that when you're in this car, everything seems a lot quieter, as if you're in one of those like sound isolation rooms. You can tell that the interior here is very well insulated and that you can hear your voice very clearly, and when you're talking to passengers, it's actually very easy. And something cool is that these doors are actually very heavy compared to regular car doors, which just shows how much insulation is in this car. But moving on, to get started here, let's go ahead and get the car on. And we can hear that V8 roar when it comes to life. And ignore the maintenance required light here on the dash. It just needs an oil change. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. And I like the gear shifter on this car. It's actually thick, heavy, and it gives good feedback when you're shifting into gears. Just going ahead and rolling off in eco mode here. Let's get to the road. So just setting off at parking lot speeds. This is very quiet and smooth on the interior. There's not too many complaints here. Being a larger car that's focused more on luxury, there's going to be quite a bit of body roll, but that's just to be expected. Alright, so just going at regular speeds on the road. It's very quiet, and I'm just going to keep saying that because it really is in the interior. With a lot of other cars, it's just too much road noise that comes in. But this is a different experience here on the inside. And the V8 here is responsive. It's quiet, it's smooth. No complaints with that. But a complaint that some owners do have is that the car drives good, but it doesn't handle as good. But that makes sense considering that it is a large 4,000 plus pound luxury sedan. It's not going to handle like an M3, for example. And coming to a stop here, you can feel the brakes are very touchy and sensitive, so maybe that's just something to note. And also something cool I want to note here on the dash is that when you're in eco mode, depending on how much throttle you're giving, the blue light will change. So if I let off completely, it becomes bright blue again. If I get back on, it darkens up. So that's just a pretty cool tidbit to point out. So overall, this car gets around 19 miles per gallon in city and 24 miles per gallon on the highway. And for a big V8, that's actually pretty decent, but you're also going to be filling up on 93 in this, which might add up on fuel costs. That's what you should expect when you're buying a luxury sedan. But a great thing with this is that this comes with Toyota reliability, being that Lexus and Toyota are pretty much the same. So you can be rest assured that you're not going to have big maintenance items coming up on this thing. So pretty much just oil change, brakes, tires, things like that when it comes to this. So for daily operating costs, this is a pretty good choice if you're looking for a big luxury sedan. And compared to its competitors, such as the Mercedes S550 and the BMW 7 Series, this thing is a naturally aspirated V8 that's been tried and true, so you know that there's going to be very good reliability and that there is not going to be many problems coming up in the future. So the steering feel, and this is actually quite heavier, more heavy than you'd expect, but it's just the right amount. The gear shifts are smooth, quick, and in eco mode it's a lot quicker than usual. So going ahead and throwing it into sport mode here, everything gets a kind of a red theme now. The throttle is a bit more responsive, and the engine holds gears for a bit longer. And you also have the ability to pick the highest gear here with the selector. Well, I'm not going to do that for this drive. But this is one thing I actually like about Lexus and Toyota. Normally when you have your manual drive modes in most automatic cars, you pick the gear that you want to be in, and this is kind of similar, but this picks the highest gear that you want to be in. So if you're driving a consistent stop and go traffic, for example, these cars like to shift in the highest gear that they can for fuel economy. So leaving this in fourth gear or third gear max allows it to be a bit of a more smooth driving experience. So that's one thing I like about Lexus and Toyota. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the pickup of this V8 here. Sounds pretty good, and it's actually not as slow as you might think for just only having 360 horsepower. But again, you can't really compare it to a lighter car such as the M3, for example. All right, that's enough of the sport. Let's go ahead and throw back in the eco. So overall, as a daily driver car, this thing is great, especially on long drives. If you drive a lot of highway miles, this thing is quiet. It's like a boat when it comes to cruising on land, and it's just very refined and smooth overall. There are really no common complaints from owners aside from just maybe some slight brake noise from brake actuators, but that's honestly very minor. It doesn't affect drivability at all. So this thing is very quiet, smooth. It does the job as a luxury sedan. You can haul tons of things in the back. You can carry 5 passengers comfortably in this car. It gets alright fuel mileage. It's actually a pretty good car if you're looking for a luxury sedan. And this is actually a good one to buy used, because you know that it doesn't have any turbos or anything like that. So it's going to last for a very long time. This thing will easily make it over 250,000 miles with the proper care and maintenance. And in this car, everything's going to be automated, from the heated steering to your climate controls, your windshield wipers, your headlights, everything. So it's actually a very convenient experience as well. All right guys, that's pretty much all I had for this video. If you like this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.